Hey everyone, it's Lee with Mantis Mechanics, and today I'm going to show you the biggest mistake that people make when trying to perfect their horse stance. So stay tuned. Now, the biggest mistake that people make when doing their horse stance is they try too hard, especially in the beginning. I'll tell you a little story real quick. I had a school and we had an adult class and a kids class. And every once in a while we would do a competition to see who could hold their horse stance for the longest. Without a doubt, the kids always beat the adult times. The kids would get 8 to 10 minutes average, while the adults would get maybe 1 or 2 minutes tops. So why were the kids able to hold the stance longer than the adults? They're not stronger. Would the kids be more mentally tough, able to withstand pain? I don't think so. I think the real answer is that they don't have the tissue restrictions or the mobility issues that the adults did. And the adults were having a hard time holding a correct form horse stance. So their knees were starting to hurt, their back was starting to hurt, their neck was starting to hurt, and all that added up and caused them to quit doing the stance. Whereas the kids didn't have these mobility issues. Once you got them into a good stance, they could hold that for a longer period of time. So when I say they're trying too hard, I mean that they're holding the stance at maximum depth and they're tensing up too much. So they might be holding the stance and just suffering through the stance and just trying to go as long as they can. And maybe they get a minute. And then next time they only get like 1 minute and 5 seconds, and they never really get lower, and they never really increase their time that much. When you're doing your stance, especially in the beginning, you don't want to try to max out every time. This is the equivalent of getting into a bench press or squat and doing the heaviest weight you can every time. You're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to beat yourself up. So with the horse stance, I always say the same thing. If you can go to thigh parallel, but it's really hard and you can't hold it for more than a couple moments, then don't go that low. Right? We go to a pain level. I always say go to a pain level of about 6. When you get to that 6 pain level, take a deep breath in, breathe out, and try to relax and bring that pain level to a 4 or maybe even a 3, maybe just a 5. As long as you can decrease that pain level, maybe get a little bit lower in your stance, then you can continue to hold it. If you can't release that tension, if you are at let's say an 8 and you stay at an 8, even with your breathing, you're not doing yourself any favor. So what I mean by this, I get into my stance and maybe I want my back straight, my pelvis tucked in, right? And maybe this is as deep as I can go right now. So I take a deep breath in. And maybe just a little bit lower when I sink. Okay, now this stance, this is what I'm going to practice holding. I'm going to hold it for about 30 seconds. Then I'm going to relax. I'm not going to go till, even if my stance is only here, I'm not going to go until I fail. I'm going to relax. I'm going to take a break, just like you would do when lifting weights. You take like a 1 to 2 minute break, come back, and go into the stance again. So now go into my horse stance, 1, 2, and this time my stance is a little bit lower, right? I breathe in. Try to relax. Maybe I go lower. Maybe I don't. Maybe this is as deep as I can go. That's fine. But I just hold it, again, about 30 seconds. I'm relaxing the whole time, breathing, trying to breathe. And then I relax. And I do this for 3 or 4 sets, and that's it. You're going to notice that your stance is going to get lower each set, right? So the first set, it may look like this. Second set, it may get a little lower. Then lower, and then all of a sudden you're going to find yourself at thigh parallel. And you're only doing that for 30 seconds at thigh parallel. Once you get there, once you can hold it for that thigh parallel stance with good form, now you can start working on holding it longer. But again, when people get ready for marathons, they don't run 26 miles every day. They'll run 5 miles at first, and they'll do increments of 5s, and then they work their way up to 10, and then before they do their marathon, that big 26-mile race, their longest run might only be 13 or 14 miles. They're not doing the whole 26, or they're not going past 26 miles to prepare for that marathon in most cases. So at least the top guys don't, or women, right? So same thing with your horse stance. If your goal is to get a 10-minute horse stance, maybe you work a couple 3-minute horse stances. Then you work yourself up to a 5-minute horse stance. You do a 5-minute horse stance. Give yourself some breaks between days, right? Don't try to practice every day. Do it every other day or once every 2 or 3 days. Then work till 5, 6, and 7. And then when you're going for that PR or that personal record, the longest one, and your goal is 10 minutes, you just go and hold it as long as you can. After you do that, you're going to stop and go back, right? You're going to go back to that 3 minutes. Then you're going to go back to that 5 minutes. Go back, and you're going to work your way up again. And so it's not about doing 10 minutes every single time. You're not going to be able to do that. I can't do that when I hold a horse stance. If I haven't done it in a while, there's no way I'm getting 10, 15-minute horse stance. But I can build up to it quick because I've been there before. So this is the idea when you go for those record long horse stances. Just relax at first. Don't try to go for a record if your form is off. That's where I think these adults had the problem. They were trying to get as low as they can. Their butt's sticking out. They're like this. Their back is rounded. They're looking down. And that's no good. That's not even a horse stance. I don't know what that is. They'd be better off just holding something that they're comfortable doing for a few 30 seconds, maybe even less in the beginning, and then coming up, relaxing, and sinking a little deeper and deeper and deeper until they can get to that horse stance that they're looking for. So let me know what you think of this tip in the comments below. See you next time here on Mantis Mechanics.